We were experimenting with something new, recording-wise, this week that didn't quite turn out the way that was expected. But that's why you do the experiments, to collect the knowledge necessary to accomplish your goal more flawlessly the next time. It's so super rare that we get a topic like the one we have tonight. We can call this one of my neato conspiracy episodes, if you like, but I think it turned into so much more than that. It turned into a topic we found to be so unbelievably polarizing that there was no middle ground at all. Right. It just didn't exist. You were either a fanatical believer or you were a fanatical denier. Not a denier in a, I can't believe this thing because it's just too fantastical sense, but more in a, literally all of the history, evidence, and hard data have proven this theory to be empirically false kind of way. So it almost turned into a look at the people behind the beliefs and the people with the historical knowledge, passive-aggressively duking it out as only the egg-headedly know how. Anything else to say, Baby B? No? You're done? Of course.
All those paintings on the tomb do the slam dance, don't you know? If they move too quick, go well, they're falling down like a domino. All the bizarre men bothered, now they got the money on the bed. Go crocodiles, go well, snap the teeth on the cigarette. Four times in the hooky pop say, hey oh, hey oh, hey oh, hey oh. Walk like an Egyptian.
Hello. Right. Hello, people. All out in that big old wide world that I don't understand how you leave your house not terrified every day. Because Chris is driving a giant fucking truck out there.
True that.
And
I'm out here.
As far as I know, he is not to be trusted.
You never know where I'll be.
See, that just sounds threatening.
Right now,
It kind of sounds like you mean for it to be threatening.
I mean,
threatening.
Of course I mean for it to be threatening. What kind of man would I be if I didn't threaten people? Shit. Right now, I'm just east of Richmond, Virginia, if you care to be threatened in person. Yeah.
I mean, you won't be when they're here. Anyway.
You don't know.
We have a guest. You're being rude.
Your face is rude.
Okay, so I guess it's still all up to me even after the rudeness. And
we have a guest. Who's our guest?
We have a guest, James Conan.
You mean that
he was here last time?
That weird guy from last time?
How's it going? I'm James. I guess I don't deserve respect.
No, you do. I was like, it's respect time, man. It's time to give it. Because we give it, but we also take it away.
That we do.
You were on the show last time. You got to meet Chris in person, which a lot of people have not.
That's true. Most people in the world have not, to be exact. To be a little more precise, I mean. But yes,
but James was the other hippie that Chris was getting along with so well, having side conversations over other people's pertinent information.
Hey, we were bouncing. We were bouncing back and forth. The shit happens.
It was weird. It was fun, though. It was a good time. So, James, you happy to be back?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know,
stop fucking...
Cool. Day, man. Have the weed cast going.
Sounds good to me.
It's called the Tool Pod.
I'm ready.
The Tool Pod. Because remember, your parents had sex at a Tool concert, or after one, and then you were born. Remember?
Yeah, thanks for remembering that, man. Yeah, I remember that happened.
Do you?
It's literally like a bunch of people have heard it, like that. I've never even met, and you won't ever either. They know that intimate detail of your life.
So I'm glad for y'all to be part of it.
Aw.
Feel like I was there.
Share my story with the world.
I've been to a Tool concert.
I was going to go off on a weird thing that I'm not going to go off on.
Good. You just saved that.
You're saying that you could maybe be his dad.
See, I was refraining. I was going to refrain from that. No, I don't think I'm that old. Damn, Jason.
How old are you, James? 20 years old.
Alright, yeah.
He's a baby.
No, we're safe.
He's an itty bitty baby. I mean, we are old enough to be his father.
He's pretty close. He's pretty close. But no, we're safe.
That's crazy. That's great, because now people can work out in their heads the math of when Chris lost his virginity.
That's some bullshit, and that just because when that has nothing to do with when I lost my virginity. That would have nothing to do with it. Now you're just making shit
out of the equation. It's incomplete.
See?
Hey, you know what? I got one more thing to interject with, and that is, welcome to another uncomfortable parent sex talk episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
Indeed, the UFOs, the conspiracies, and the moitas. Maybe we'll get to some probing this time, or, perhaps a little, deep
Are we
therapy.
talking about, like really getting into it?
You never know. I don't know what this episode's about. I'm just, wishful thinking.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is one that I kept completely fucking secret.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I have no idea.
I did send Chris a little bit of a hint last night through a song, but he just thought I was sending him a song with Merce in it, and it was fun.
That's
So,
true. Merce is good stuff.
Tonight, we will be talking about the site in Australia, I believe, that is referred to as the Gosford Gliphs. It's an intricate set of carved symbols. Some believe carved 5,000 years ago by ancient Egyptians who got here on boats somehow.
Really?
Not here, Australia. Yes, Australia. Not here,
Not here.
Australia.
Kansas. Back in Kansas.
It was one of those two. It was Kansas or Australia. I'm almost certain.
Brooklyn, New York. I mean Kansas.
So the most interesting thing about this place that I've found isn't the fact that it may have been carved by ancient Egyptians with a story to tell. It is that there are no people that think maybe it could have happened that way, maybe not. It is fucking vicious, furious believers and people that actually know what they're talking about and deniers.
So these are
So much fun.
These are petroglyphs?
These are hieroglyphs.
Well, are they carved in stone?
Yes.
Then they're also petroglyphs.
I was being a little bit more specific.
Well then.
So,
Just checking.
I wanted to start out on one that shows what the glyphs say, what it's proposed they say, what some people say that they say. It's fun. You guys ready?
I'll say.
Alrighty. So, the Egyptian hieroglyphs that are on the east wall go on to say, "For His Highness the Prince, from this wretched place in this land where we were carried by ship, engraved for the crown of Lower Egypt, according to God's word. My fellow Egyptians, call out from this place in this strange land for the god Suti. I, Nefer Jezeb, son of Khufu, king of Upper and Lower Egypt, has brought the god of Suti. The prince was kind and benevolent, follower of the sun god Ra. For 2 seasons, he directed us eastward, weary but strong to the end, always praying, joyful, and smiting insects. He, the servant of God, said God created the insects to protect his people. I myself am hardened. I've gone around hills and deserts and wind and rain with no lakes at hand, blessed by the falling nights when I hide myself completely out of reach. In our last camp, I cooked fowl on hand, brought rain, but hurt my back carrying the golden falcon standard, crossing hills, deserts, and pools of water along the way. Plants are withering, land is dying. Is this our lot from the highest god of the sacred Murd? The sun is pouring upon our back. O mighty Kepler, this is not what the oracles had said. Our hearts are overturned but not broken. This regal person, Nefertiru, came from the temple of God in Panu, Egypt. He came from the house of God. He was the son of Khufu, king of Upper and Lower Egypt. He who died before is here laid to rest. May he have life everlasting. He is never again to stand beside the water of the sacred myrrh. Then clasp him, my brother spirit, by thy side, O Father of the earth. So,
That's a hell of a lot.
Tells of, oh, that was just the west wall.
Jesus.
The east wall, sorry. I still have the west wall to read, but it's a lot shorter.
Wow.
But we're going to catch you up with the story so far, right? So, 2 fucking princes, both sons of the divine King Khufu, apparently on a seafaring ship made by ancient Egyptians, sailed to Africa. I'm going to do that a lot. I'm not used to saying Australia in our show.
This is true.
Sailed to Australia from Africa and went on expeditions there. Were there for a long time. And then their prince, their lead prince guy, who was like the cooler older brother, who had like the Letterman jacket and the hot girlfriend, and it wasn't a Corvette, which would have been like really cool, but he had like a decent Camaro. And, he just, man, you wanted to be him so bad.
I rock Z. Oh yeah. This frosted tip mullet. And this cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve.
I can see him all Egyptian looking, but still has that white preppy fucking garbage all over him. It's fun.
Fucking filterless camel, so he looks like Cool Joe. Wasn't Khufu? Isn't Khufu the one that they assume the Great Pyramid was built for?
You know what's funny? I didn't do any research into the Egyptians mentioned in here. Not a tiny little bit.
That's mighty thorough of you. But yes, I'm pretty sure I'm right. So that's
James, do you know anything about Egyptian royalty? Ancient Egyptian royalty?
Not much, man. I've been a little bit obsessed with religions.
Okay. You know what? As far as the fucking websites I'm gonna go into, I think that makes you an expert, and you're an expert Egyptologist.
There we
go. As far as the standards of the internet are concerned,
we have one on deck.
That's right. We have famed archaeologist James Conan with us this evening.
Oh, and I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was like 8, so...
Hey, I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Last year. That I had to go back and watch the first one.
Aren't they Japanese, though?
They speak Japanese.
It's like Egyptian, it's like Egyptian, based.
That's right. It's valid. And, I think that also gives him a leg up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2-time famed Yu-Gi-Oh! Card master James Conan on the show tonight to tell us exactly who Khufu was, what was his job, and I'm sorry, I got little flies fucking crawling on me, it's creeping me out. I couldn't see them. So yeah, James, explain.
Yeah, so Khufu, he was a guy in Egypt, ancient Egypt, 2,000 years ago.
Yes.
He had a job, and right before he did his best at it,
Yes.
but it entailed died, man.
Yeah, I mean, because no, I get it. No, I think you've enlightened us quite well, and I can't wait to read the book that you are writing about this cool guy.
I think
August 17th.
Okay, that's when your hot ass mixtape drops, huh? Man, I want his hot ass mixtape so bad now. So, we got the two brothers, right? They are trekking it across. Oh, hey, the sun. Nefertiru just went by in his fucking Camaro.
Just rolled up cameras in his sleeve.
That's right. Oh, man. People who did that were so cool.
Yeah.
I used to try to roll cigarettes in my sleeve, and I was like, wow, this is stupid.
That's what cool looks
I have
like.
to roll my sleeves up and down every time I want a goddamn cigarette.
That's all I got pockets
No,
for.
thank you, sir. Mm-hmm.
Just buy pants that fit, but, you know, give me some room to breathe and carry stuff.
Okay, I'm down. I will. I'll give in. I'll get pockets.
Cargo's for life, son.
I don't know about that much. No. So the brother, right? The older brother, the cool one. He had some kind of misfortune befall him. Being Australia, this could mean literally any fucking thing in the world.
It could mean some dangerous things, that's for sure.
So, I will continue reading by saying the Egyptian hieroglyphs on the west wall continued the story.
Like
The
crazy
snake bit
bitches that
twice.
cut people's skin off? It could mean that.
No, they were like, this is 5,000 years ago, which is technically, we'll talk about it more, but before there were other crazy motherfuckers there.
You don't think there was crazy skin cutting bitches in Australia 5,000 years ago? I think you're being a little naive,
honestly,
sir.
I think you're being a little alarmist, asshole.
Maybe. That's not for you to decide.
Well, I mean, it's fine. I just wanted you to own up to it. That's all.
Oh, well. Whatever. Continue.
So, the snake bit twice. We, followers of the divine King Khufu, mighty one... What?
What?
What? What?
What?
What are you saying?
Is he talking to himself
the
again?
divine King Khufu, mighty one of Lower Egypt, lord of the two Ades, we shall not all return. However, we have to continue. We cannot look back. All creek and riverbeds are dry, and we are all dismayed. Our boats are tied up with rope. Death was caused by a snake. We gave egg yolk from the medicine chest and prayed to a moon, the hidden one. He hears us talking about him. He's like, I'll show those motherfucker who's cool. For he was struck twice. It was hard times for us all, weeping over the dead body and keeping to the protocol. Seated all aside, our men watched the funeral with concern and deep love. How the mummified body was buried in the red earth section. Then we recovered ourselves. We walled in the side entrance to the chamber with stones from all around. The chamber was aligned with the western heavens. I counted and impounded the daggers of our men. The 3 doors of eternity were connected to the rear end of the royal tomb and sealed in. Boom. Fucking story over.
So one of them...
It. This is the God's honest truth. Fucking Egyptians are the original Australians.
The Egyptians are the original Australians, you say?
Bible fact.
Or is it somehow...
You don't sound like you believe me, Chris. I mean, guys, this was written online by a guy. I mean...
So first of all...
So was realism. Continue.
So does it ever mention where this is built? Like where these hieroglyphs are, like in Australia, like on the western part of Australia, the northern part?
They're in Australia.
Right.
I'm not super, like aware of what parts of Australia are where.
So, let me also ask this, was there anything else like found around there? Like anything else that was built in that area?
Oh yeah, like an ancient burial ground.
So the ancient burial ground they talk about is there?
There's one there. Or is it? That's my new favorite thing to say to Melissa whenever she says anything to me. I don't care how mad she is. I go, or is it?
Allegedly.
And it'll either make her laugh or lose it. So anyway. This is so stupid. This whole thing is... Anyway,
I'm a little
Chris,
torn on this whole Egyptians are the original Australian scenario, because if that were the case,
continue, please. Yes.
how and why did they change everything? When they get to this new place,
You know, like, if you have a friend that moves away for a while to another part of the country, like, they pick up their, trends and movements and things like that, and then when you see them in 5 years, it's like, who the fuck is this guy,
Yeah, but, I mean, these are people that are, like, extremely devout, religious people, right? And, like, what about being in a new country by themselves somehow would make them change everything about their religion? I don't buy it.
Rebellion?
Rebellion?
Like,
I
fuck
guess.
you, Dad. I'm going to Australia, man.
But they're still so devout in their hieroglyphs that they wrote while they were there.
I mean, they were like, we did the procedures for burial. That's just because that's the only way they knew how to bury people. But once you fucking get a jet ski into the mix with some beer and some babes in Australia, I think you're okay.
You may have a point there. The babes do play a factor. They might play a part in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so I'm just racking my brain on how to continue on with this, because it gets crazier and it gets like more sane, and then it gets like kind of again. So I think that's the way I'm going to go with it. I just gave you what we're supposed to think about it.
Okay.
Now I'm going to give you the fucking nuts. So I found a website. I really like. This is an old lady's spiritual website, so I kind of don't want to say her name, but she had received pictures that were taken of the glyphs there, so that she could sit with her old lady medium friend, and the medium could tell her what these carvings meant.
I love it.
I will send these pictures to the both of you later, or something like that. I told you I didn't think super far ahead with this, but I had to have this. So this one picture, there is a shape that looks like a Christian cross with a fucking circle around it, like the fucking Inquisition looking symbol or whatever.
Okay.
And there's a couple of glyphs and shit around it, and it says, "As I tune into this picture, I feel it has to do with the teachings from a higher realm. It speaks of one God, of worship, sacrifice, enlightenment, purity of motive. It promises everlasting life, self-purification, and discrimination of becoming master, no longer giving attention to the body." That's the least weird fucking one.
That's
So
rather...
this cross was found like with the hieroglyph?
Yeah, because a lot of the hieroglyphs are nonsense. We'll get into that in a minute. And I kind of wanted it to be a surprise that whoever fucking made up that story, there's a story behind that guy too.
Okay, I need to read one more of these, and then we'll get into him, because I have to.
Well,
I have to. Where did it go?
This is juicy.
Oh, okay. So, this photo, which, no bullshit, looks like... I thought it was a photo of a dead...
Penis?
slug. I thought it was a dead slug.
Oh.
Like an elongated dead slug on a rock.
Sounds like a penis.
And of this shape carved into the rock, she says, "This photo talks of the danger of underwater war. It seems an explosion is taking place under the sea, causing contamination and destruction and irreversible damage. The creation of radioactive energy is unleashing a force which can lead to major ramifications within the galaxy. I see in my mind the Earth out of alignment. I see ley lines altering the flow of energy. I feel a strong warning being expressed here."
Okay, so Chris, you're not seeing this right now, but I am. That was all fucking nuts. This looks like a stick that is pronged at the end, and then has like a little line towards the top.
Okay.
Yeah, and she is intuiting underwater catastrophic world-ending war.
This symbol that is depicting such things came from a culture derived in a desert. But they're talking about underwater war somehow.
Wait. Oh my god. I can't believe I forgot to already say this. Most of the people that believe that they're glyphs believe a couple of very specific things about how
How?
Atlantis is very heavily featured. So is Pangea, because we all know that fucking all of the continents were all smushed together as one, which is an actual thing.
Yeah.
But only 5,000 years ago.
Nah,
it only
so
took 5,000 years for all of the tectonic plates to move every continent where it was.
We were literally just talking about that shit earlier today, how crazy an event it would be for the tectonic plates to shift enough to create a mountain, whether it's above the sea, the sea level or below the ocean. It doesn't matter. The type of it wouldn't matter where it happened on the Earth. The entire planet would feel that. That is it's retarded to imagine the type of power, and energy displacement that comes along with that sort of event. It's fucking crazy. Continue.
So, before we get into any more of the fucking craziness, I do want to read.
That's fucking bananas cream pie, dude.
This is the old ladies, the old lady medium's final summation, I guess, of the whole thing. So, as I tune in, I perceive a fiery mass, just as it had been broken off from the sun. There's just fog, a gray mist. Now I see a multitude of light beings incorporating with matter, knowing that the essence of spirit would have a chance to progress. I see the earth with 7 auric spheres. I see electromagnetic energy pouring out of those light beings. They will eventually work with people at a particular time of evolution. I see light being poured down to stimulate the DNA so that its strength will increase 6-fold. I see a higher frequency of energy emerging within our world and a collective telepathic flow manifest within the universe.
Wow.
All these photos speak of secret knowledge and language, which seems to have a twofold meaning, only understood by the initiated. The secret knowledge will become accessible to all people as they are awakening to the truth, that they are mortal and that the soul is seeking release from the personality. I am being given to understand that we enter a kind of amnesia as we enter the body, and that we're given free will as a means by which we are able to make mistakes. I'm being told that when a certain molecule of mind in any kingdom, mineral, plant, animal, etc., reaches its full potential, it gravitates naturally to the next level of progression. I see in my mind gateways all over the world closing up, and I see others being opened at the same time. Some are positive and some are negatively charged. I see dormant old sites being located on the planet. There are some new ones which begin to manifest etherically, astrally, mentally, on the planet. I see human consciousness going through a 180-degree change. I see a lot of encoded knowledge will be revealed in the future.
Wow.
So, first thoughts.
Yes, please.
It's like the rough draft of the Fifth Element.
I was thinking,
Alright.
no, Planet of the Apes.
I was...
Our past and our future, all at the same time.
I mean, I was thinking that it kind of sounds like this woman is literally just flipping through episodes of Ancient Aliens while she's saying all this. Because it's shit you see, it's shit you hear, it's shit you pick up, it's shit you fucking, you've heard crazy theories that other people say and this and that. It just seems like it's like the Aquaman movie. It's just a bunch of different plots all smashed into one and just shit out the fucking factory like, here you go. This all sounds like it could be something.
Jason Momoa.
Oh, right.
What a dreamboat.
What a dreamboat.
It's really funny. It's really funny that you segued into what I was going to say quite nicely by saying that thing that you said about the History Channel. And Ancient Aliens in particular.
Uh-huh.
Because I am now on news.com.au, and I'm going to read you something with the headline, How History Channel's Ancient Aliens Takes the Mickey Out of Australian History.
Oh, well then. They did a whole episode strictly about Australia.
Yeah, well, they had a whole Australia Day on Australia Day.
I thought it was pretty good.
Well, you, sir, are part of the problem.
Maybe, because I'm not fucking Australian.
So it says, over the Australia Day long weekend, the world was... you can't have an Australia Day weekend.
Yeah, Jumbo shrimping it
That's
up.
Australia Days. That's Australia Weekend. You can't have Australia Day weekend.
No, I bet they serve jumbo shrimp there. And
no, we're gonna fucking leave this topic here. We're gonna write an angry letter to who wrote this fucking piece of shit. Joking. I got really angry there for a second.
you would be the advocate, you know that, right?
One show cited indigenous art as absolute evidence of ancient alien visitation. Another one, quote unquote, finds Australia's own version of Stonehenge. And then there's the increasingly popular notion that this continent was explored by ancient Egyptians. It's funny, some of the glyphs and shit that they show are just obviously fucking Aboriginal art. It's on these shows they're using it as fucking absolute fucking proof that they were done by Egyptians. Like some of this shit is how they do they put the pigment in their mouths and then they spit it out over their hands to make the hand silhouette on the wall.
It's fucking cave work.
Some of it's like that. Shit that literally has never been done in Egypt ever.
Seriously.
It's something that Aboriginals in Australia do.
The shit that literally cavemen used to do. But
yeah.
See, that's why this whole thing gets me, is that now granted, you imagine artisans are artisans over the years and back in history and everything, so normal people, regular people that were not considered artisans or history keepers or, people of the court, they weren't taught to read and write. They weren't taught the fucking hieroglyphs. These drawings and these etchings and these carvings, they're not for the normal people. They're for them in the sense that, okay, you can look at this and worship, but other than that, these stories are not for them. They're for the gods. They're not for us either. We just happen to be fucking, what's the word? Damn, I always forget the word for that. What's the word for the people that decipher fucking codes and shit? And
code breakers?
No, yeah, but yeah.
You could say that.
Decipher codes and fucking come up with It's not a linguist either. It's
cartologist, cardiologist, cartographers.
Whatever. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. But okay, so given that fact, right, off top, that you had to be someone of some kind of importance to even know how to read, let alone write and produce artwork and fucking things for the pharaoh and whatever. Aside from that fact, keep in mind that the styles are worlds apart. Unless the guy who was dropped off here, not here, but Australia, and spent enough time to carve all of that, was not an artisan in any way, and he made all of that up on his own, just out of his fucking head. Well, yeah, I think I saw this one day, and I think this one kind of should look like that. It just doesn't make sense.
We have things to say about that, Christopher.
It should be plainly obvious that this did not come from anybody indigenous to Australia. Off top.
Listen, Chris Hemmingsworth, shut it, and I'll let you know what's fucking done, how it's done, and what it is, and fucking
You do that before I start questioning too much. Continue.
Yeah, you're just gonna have a knock. It's gonna be the fucking CIA. They're gonna be like, "You're asking the wrong questions, sir."
Detective Chris is on the job.
Mm-hmm. And then once you get out of your truck, they're just like two rapist truckers that are dressed like CIA agents, and they just go to town.
That's right. When Mike and I put on our sunglasses, we instantly look like CIA.
Every trucker does.
That's
why people get into the trucks with people. That's not good.
Not like a bright white hood rat and a strange Mexican pierced Jesus.
Strange Mexican pierced Jesus. Man, we should anagram the fuck out of that. So, in the case of Gosford, the only thing that is apparently linking it with a civilization that is 4,500 years ago are, and this is the exact words of the paper's website I'm reading, 250 remarkably childlike hieroglyphs grouped into a rock face. The eroded grotto rock structure is within 100 meters of a road and near an old housing subdivision, but no mention of it was made before the 1970s. It had been explored a ton of times before because there's actual Aboriginal artifacts and rock paintings and all this actual old fucking ancient awesome shit there. So people have been up and down this fucking place forever.
Right.
And no one fucking mentioned it until the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. So it might be. It's just that not a single one of the hundreds of explorers that combed this fucking place said anything about Egyptian hieroglyphs at all. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, this goes on to really dig into the fucking ancient aliens people, and it was a joy to read last night. It really was. I'm not going to go through any more of it because it's just like they said this thing was this fucking thing, and you moron, it's not that. It's fucking, look, you can see the lichen where the lichen was growing on the rock. You can see cuts through it, which means that they are very fresh. That's another thing. They are carved in rock. that erodes so insanely fast that if they were from 5,000 years ago, they wouldn't exist anymore because they would have completely eroded away.
Okay, alright.
So, there's also the fact
pretty substantial
that we'll get to, because we're gonna roller coaster back up into sanity just for a minute, because I mean, you know, this is
be gentle,
right?
Just be gentle.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about Egyptologist debunks new claims about Gosford Gliphs.
Ooh, James, this is
Now,
right up your alley.
Yeah, James, our resident archaeologist, our resident Egyptologist.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Reported for duty.
Yep, 2-time award-winning,
He said
beautiful hair
duty.
haver. He did say duty, didn't he? Oh man, it's just an honor to be nominated. Okay, so I got because all of these people are so just passionate about this that excuse me. People are so passionate about this that it's just hard to make it through their fucking really long web pages full of angry ranting.
I bet.
Okay, so the guy
sounds like a chore.
No, a little bit, but it's an enjoyable one. So the guy that is behind really most of the fervor about it, because the guy that supposedly found them originally is dead. But that he and this guy, Stephen Strong, wrote a book about it together.
Oh.
It's
That's not a stage name.
A group of amateur researchers have sparked new interest in the site, having found a new, smaller set of hieroglyphs in the area. It has been carved, he says. It's a straight line, and nature doesn't do straight lines. There's a second shaft that runs down, and the third one's a gallery that's big enough to park a car. The things that have been found next to it, alongside and around the walls, need to be factored in. First of all... Oh, wait. Sorry. So that's the guy that is just like, yeah. But then an actual professor of archaeology. Let's see if I apologize if I'm way off on this name. I don't even know what nationality this person is. Akinga. Yeah, it's not bad. So Professor Akinga first saw the inscriptions 20 years ago and says that there are many reasons why they're not accepted as genuine hieroglyphs. First of all, the way that they're cut isn't the way that ancient Egyptian rock inscriptions are cut. Sorry, there was a bug that was trying its hardest to fly down my throat the whole time I said that.
Nice.
There's also a problem with the actual shapes of the signs that are used. There's no way people would have been inscribing text from the time of Cheops.
Yeah.
Cheops.
Yeah, Cheops.
Because the signs that they used during that time are 2,500 years later than the time period that the hieroglyphs that are there say the people are from. So they're using...
That's pretty sharp evidence.
Yeah, text and inscriptions and things that didn't exist for 2,500 years. Yeah, so... so this is my favorite. This was my favorite quote. That's a chronological discrepancy, he says. How awesome is that? Okay.
I wonder how long he stayed up at that night before trying to think of a sly, slick way of saying shit ain't right, yo.
He also says that it doesn't make any sense why the ancient Egyptians would be at that particular site. He says, if by any chance they had reached Australia, you'd expect them to land on the west coast rather than over on the east coast. No, this guy's just a huge liar. If there were actually aliens there, and that's who brought the Egyptians there. And they didn't even need boats back then, man. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say these glyphs are on the East Coast. Because Jason somehow is not putting two and two together. But that's okay, because we got it. We figured it out. Unless he's trying to hide it from us the whole time and just hoping we're not going to put it together. I don't know.
Oh, I have no idea how this story ends. That's the best part.
Love it.
And then you open the book, and then there's a little mirror, and it says it was you the whole time.
It's you! Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
So, Professor Boyo Akinga says, it is likely the engravings were made in the 1920s when there was widespread interest in ancient Egypt after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun.
Yeah,
He
Boyo.
says also around the same time, many Australian soldiers who were stationed in Egypt had come back from World War I.
Recognize.
He says, that's right. He says we have other instances of Australian soldiers having carved Egyptianizing objects in the Kurungai National Park near Sydney. For example, there's a sphinx and pyramids that have been carved out of the sandstone, and we know that that was done by an Australian soldier who was in a hospital in the vicinity. It wouldn't be at all surprising for someone who'd had this fascination for Egypt to have done the same thing up there. So,
Indeed.
there's a couple of theories that are, of the rational sort. And they are God damn it. They are in the 1970s. But what they called him an irrational damn it, was it a Turk? I think it was an irrational Turk with a chisel was arrested leaving that site. Also it's so fucking fun. Also that it was just some kids having fun, like in the 80s. And then, also, that it was. James, go.
A bunch of bullshit.
The thing I just said, but the soldiers and stuff.
Oh, that was like soldiers doing it?
Yeah, like, it was like a guy that liked Egypt stuff, and he went, fuck, man.
Wait, were you looking for a run, or are you looking for a continuation? Like, are you trying to guess the next option?
No, not at all.
I did too. He
I
lost
was
us both.
seeing-
I thought that's what he wanted.
I was seeing if you guys were paying attention.
We totally
I'm
were.
trying, man.
When I read crazy shit, it makes me not all there all the time.
So, okay.
Uh-huh. Ask questions so I can answer them and hopefully help you out.
I mean, I don't think you would know the answer to this just because, but is it because the rock, the type of rock erodes so quickly that there isn't a patina built up that they can carbon date?
I don't think they think it needs carbon dating. I think it's that obvious that it's not something fucking weird.
Well, that makes perfect sense to any logical person, but any illogical person who is trying to prove this would want to carbon date it. And
I don't think they have the resources to do things like that.
I gotcha.
Flat out.
Yeah, no, everything that other guy said just makes perfect sense. I mean, it's not. Yeah,
It's so boring and stupid that it's almost stupid and boring to be upset about it.
right.
Well, I feel like we can rule out the kids theory. Because, this, like, the wording you used for all the inscriptions, what supposedly means is that little, like, to evolve just to be some kids having fun.
I'll give you
That's
that.
the thing, is like when I'll show you side-by-side comparisons of the hieroglyphs that were drawn here in Australia and the ones, just common ones from Egypt. And there's a huge difference in care and style, and if you would have taken the time to write out this story, you'd have done it more than a fucking... It literally looks like a kid like carved a cartoon bird on a desk in class with his pen.
Like super like rudimentary, like super like bare bones, like knowledge of how.
Yeah. I mean, you could go out there with a book of hieroglyphs and fucking write out a story terribly with it, you know?
That's unacceptable
actually,
to present to the gods.
Well, I mean, if you're not an ancient Egyptian, who gives a fuck?
Exactly my point.
Oh. Okay. Well.
Continue.
So, you guys know... Okay, this is where I kind of want to end just reading stuff about it, because this is the best one ever. This is a very long web page, and it is on wakeupworld.com.
Nice.
This very lengthy story.
Oh, we have to listen to this guy.
Rebuttal, something like that, isn't even actually about the hieroglyphs. It's about the Australian Broadcasting Company, ABC. Well, actually, the ABC, because it's the Australian Broadcasting Company. That's how they say it. It's stupid. It's fine. How they got information from this page's people, whatever, I don't know. How they then ran a story about it. I think it was a 60 or 90 second just like radio clip of the story. But then 2 days later took it off the air. And then when the people that it was about started to complain about it, they'd call and, hey, why the fuck did you take that off? You know, people need to hear this, blah, 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 right? They were like, well, we tried to be fair and balanced, so we wanted to talk to an actual archaeologist and see what they have to say about it, and then, you know, we'll run both. So they did talk to somebody, and then they took their, 40 seconds. That's what they were upset about, is that a 40-second long story about them finding something new had been taken off of the ABC. So, they make a huge stink, as I say, and they have an actual archaeologist interviewed, and then they don't run the other people's shit anymore.
What?
So, now we are in conspiracy territory. Because is this really ABC News' concept of a balanced approach?
Makes my nuts
Wouldn't
tingle.
balanced media seek an opposing opinion on the topic at hand, which in this case was new discoveries? Or would balanced media entirely disregard the original story, a story of new archaeological discoveries, and instead drag out the same old rhetoric about the well-known hieroglyphs in an attempt to debunk our findings, without even addressing any of the new evidence at hand? Clearly, something more than due diligence transpired behind the doors of the ABC National Office between the 10th and the 14th of December. The purpose of the revised article is obvious: to stir up the old hoax rhetoric once more and undermine the site's significance.
Oh,
its
somebody's
intention
got a
is to
vocabulary.
Oh my
Go
God!
ahead, New Orleans. Go ahead, New Orleans. Go save a life.
Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me.
That shit was loud.
Anyway, I was ranting pretty good there.
Yeah.
And I needed that to stop me, actually. So anyway. So yeah. Now it's a conspiracy. It's that the government doesn't want us to know, man.
Well, that's always been the conspiracy.
Well, I mean, but they don't, like, specifically about this, though.
Oh.
You know? I mean, like,
Their
True.
claims sound exactly like all the people that are like school shooter deniers, Holocaust deniers, 9/11 deniers.
Are there actual school shooter deniers?
Oh yeah, no. There's tons of people that think that school shootings like didn't happen. It's all like paid crisis actors to be on the news and talk about it.
Wow.
That believe that they like stage school shootings and like stage fake funerals for these students.
Why would? But why? Why would you want to not? Why would you say that it was like who? What?
Yeah, no, they think it's just like a conspiracy by the government to like push gun control laws and like take away people's freedoms and.
I
It's
have
crazy.
seen
Use it
that.
for another episode of the podcast.
About the Sandy Hook one. I have seen that.
Jesus. Okay.
I mean,
So,
you know
to
what
show
though? When it the problem I have with just conspiracies in general is that, you know, when you think about the art of war being deception, you know, is your best friend, you know, like the shit is not that big a stretch. If somebody really, really wants to pull the wool over the eyes in a certain way for certain reasons, a lot of these things that people come up with are not really that big a fucking stretch. Such as the crisis actors. That makes a lot of fucking sense, really. Because you can't, I mean, for many reasons, a crisis actor would make a lot of sense. Not just for manipulation, but also for, let's say, just because you can't trust people in a panicked state to give a proper fucking news anchor some information. You know, you could trust somebody.
The thing is,
Go ahead.
for things like the school shooting, there's like entire communities that like know these kids that like actually died. There's like actual autopsy reports that are like released and stuff like that.
Well, that's just dumb. Like
Exactly.
flat Earth shit is dumb. I mean, if there's obvious concrete evidence, but you know, some of these things, like what I had heard about the Sandy Hook thing, was that was all just a fucking another way to pull your attention, the public's attention, over this way while they're doing something, passing some other crazy bill off beneath the wow. Excuse me.
Okay. I'm putting nips in these butts. I don't like this. I don't like the message it's sending. I think it doesn't have a beat. You can't dance to it.
Alright.
I'm over it.
Anyway.
Yes. Okay.
Continue.
Because this is the end right here. Okay, the page I was on with the story that the hieroglyphs told, right?
Right.
That's a fun little page that is called ancientcode.com.
Alright.
That's right. And there are 5 comments under this story.
5.
I will read all 5 in full now.
Alright.
Okay. Comment number 1 from Tropic Thunder, 2017. True story. Comment number 2 by Patrick Schwartz. Same day, just a couple hours later. 60,000 years ago, the Papa from New Guinea and later people from India were able to get to Australia. Did you think they were all swimming? So, how hard must it be for people 5,000 years ago to get there? Think for yourself.
Open
Comment
your
number 3.
eyes, people.
Oh, this guy right here is my hero.
Sheeple. I love
Commenter
it.
number 3. Patriot156.
Oh shit, I hate him
How
already.
about instead of clinging... Shut up. He's so good. He's so good. How about instead of clinging to conventional thinking to explain the unconventional? This guy's fucking... His use of periods is atrocious. He barely capitalizes what needs to be capitalized. If I have a little bit of problem reading this, it's because of punctuation, and I will try to make it better. Okay. How about instead of clinging to conventional thinking to explain the unconventional, use unconventional thinking to do so? Like, instead of thinking Egyptians traveled by sea to Australia, how about accepting the fact, or probable, that's supposed to be probability, but he just says probable, that they were part of Pangea, and that conventional thinking that they weren't part of that time is wrong. Also, Pangea might not have been that many millions of years ago. Noah's flood was caused by the breaking up of the continents, so... And then he puts in ellipses, which, when, like, you actually use an ellipses the way that you're supposed to, it's like, I'm gonna say something else at the end there. When you don't say something else, when you just let it trail off with dots, you're like, you fucking moron, you know already.
Right. I like using that.
Comment number 4.
That was wait. That was a fucking ridiculous statement, though. Like,
I say shut up, sir, because wait.
Okay.
Comment number 4 again. From Myriad. A more plausible explanation is that at the end of the Great Flood, and then in parentheses, as recorded in some way or form in over 700 cultures, is that the early nations descended from the patriarchs, spread across the earth and used similar technology. This would explain why civilizations suddenly sprang up. Pyramids across the globe, even in China. The ensuing ice age and lower sea levels allowed for easier navigation, and there were land bridges. The ice age ended between 1500 and 1200 BC, as evidenced by all the Bronze Age cities/pyramids underwater and around the world's coastlines. A fact that the Darwinian-led government bodies are keen to suppress.
wow. That was actually kind of well written.
Comment number 5! From Patriot 156.
This fucking
Yeah,
guy.
157's brother.
Nope. Same motherfucker.
This fucking guy.
He was both people. That's the twist.
He's back.
So, he says, not really. The Bible actually proves we were part of Pangea. Genesis says, and God divided the waters from the firmament and what was used for the seas. Then dry land appeared, and no mention of continents, but one land came up. Word for word is... I'm not reading the actual fucking Bible passage here. Maybe I should. It's tiny. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. So,
God,
other
sounds like a
researches
stoner
I've
making
done-
a sandwich.
wait, this is good. Other researches I've done, which is a lie, this man did no research at all.
Mm-hmm.
Other researches I've done is into a gap theory. A gap theory.
Mm-hmm.
Their theory says that in Genesis 1 and 2, there's a gap. Meaning, it says God's Spirit was over the waters, so this could mean that there was another creation before Adam and Eve, which could explain the dinosaurs, cavemen, etc.
Jesus
Meaning,
Christ.
that would be why science says all this was millions of years ago, because it was, but not part of our creation. What I've read is Satan messed with that creation as well. Gave them technology they weren't ready for, and God, after millions of years, had to destroy everything. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
This guy makes me want to
so
fart.
moving down to the... it's getting very, very exhausting for me, so I have to come to the bottom here, because this is where the real gold is. fucked in the butt. Okay. So.
You nasty.
Let's see. Okay. God created and made. After man and woman together were created, he rested not one after the other, as it says later when he made Adam and Eve. This tells me he made man and a man and woman, then rested a day, then on the new week created Adam and Eve. So this means, or should mean, that they were a completely different creation from the ones that made during that first 6 days.
Yeah.
I
Adam,
also believe
Steve,
that the creation
and
took
Lilith.
Yeah, they were all just scissoring in space, man. He goes on to say, I also believe that creation took at least 6,000 years, not 6 literal 24-hour days like most contemporary, in parentheses, false prophets,
Some god.
like they like to say. Because it does say one of our days is like 1,000 years, blah, 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 blah. Earth is, and was a lot weirder and more supernatural than what mainstream science
Yeah, but the definition of a simile was not.
S. What mainstream science would have it, or contemporary religion. I truly believe this message is part of that truth that people need to see, and hope as many people from around the world will see and begin to awaken the new truths. Whether you believe or anyone else does, I care less. But I believe, and even if I'm not totally correct, and new information needs to come out so God can return as promised, then so be it.
Yeah.
This is a fucking comment that I only read maybe 15% of.
Wow.
At the bottom of a fucking hieroglyph. Goddamn.
That is so special.
Patriot 156, man, if you're out there, I really hope you're doing okay, man. I really hope you get the help that you deserve.
Yeah.
Find the brain slug that is inhabited inside of your head. Honestly, his comment is too much to unpack. I can't even talk about it, dude. He got more off topic than y'all do. It's all over the place, man. He walked up to the urinal drunk as hell, just sprayed everywhere. It's on the walls, it's on the ground.
It was like angels. Angels did it.
P angels. Look, Ma.
Christ, that is a special type of person.
I'm wondering how is it exactly that God made Jesus or whoever the fuck is supposed to come back made part of the contingency plan on whether or not that happens. Whether it's kind of loosely at least based on whether or not we figure out if the Egyptians visited fucking Australia or not. Because if we get that wrong, god damn it, he's not coming back, according to Patriot 156.
Our test as humanity, that is, we need to make sure whether or not Egyptians came from Australia or Egypt.
I think
Indeed. And I will say real quick that actual fucking archaeologists and actual native, Australians see this kind of for what it is, and the fervor behind the story that is obviously so disproven. And it is that it is a way for basically European Australians to somewhat hide their European Australian guilt, because they can now say, oh, they weren't the first ones here, we don't have to feel so bad about all the terrible shit we've done to them.
We was Egyptians.
oh no,
So-
everybody should feel terrible all the time.
No, not terrible, but we shouldn't be making up shit to make ourselves feel better. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no, that's part of the human condition. We know we should all feel terrible, so instead we pawn it off on someone else.
Fuck you, James.
Act like you.
Fuck, man. I guess so.
Oh, see, he just absorbed it. That's the way you should do it.
What are you?
Okay.
New?
It is what it is.
Indeed.
That was super sad.
Indeed, that's what the common man is supposed to say. It's exactly
Super bummed me out.
It's exactly what the common man is supposed to say. Well,
All right.
I guess I'll go back to work.
So, yeah, no.
Fucking
So
assholes.
I'm gonna cut this one off here because Chris has to drive real soon.
Man.
The tablet that James is recording on is about dead.
Ooh.
It's pretty close. And I have had bugs crawling all over my skin this whole time.
Yeah. Down in the south.
Mescaline's a hell of a drug.
Nice. You don't even like trippy stuff.
So, no, I don't. And there have just actually been bugs. We're sitting on my back porch. doing
Actual
this, and,
bugs.
I wore shorts. Yeah.
Act like you didn't grow up there.
Oh wait, before I cut this off, right? Chris,
Yeah.
what do you think? Real or fake, or a facsimile thereof?
Well, I mean, look. Regardless of what side of the alien fence you're on, I can honestly
I
say...
know what an alien fence would look like.
Nice.
Be all like green and squiggly and like moving and stuff.
Yeah, well, maybe. Maybe. It looks like
I'm
just
sorry.
little laser beams and stuff.
Well, you can't sit on that fence. It'll cut you in half.
Of course you can't. Of course not. How do you think...
Oh, so you're saying that we need to choose a side. I get it.
Exactly.
Good. That was a good one.
So regardless of which side you're on, I tend to personally side with the scientists and professionals in the fields of study that analyze things as well they should via the scientific fucking method, as it applies. I tend to side with them. I mean, conspiracies are fun and all, but when it comes down to fucking tenured professionals in their field going, look, bro, come on, just
Indeed.
seriously.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is like, come on. Yeah.
And
I don't even think you need to be professional just to see how absurd this is.
well, probably not, but I mean, and the reason I bring up the whole which side of the fence you're on as far as the alien thing is concerned is that you get professionals, like actual professionals who, as we always
That's
say,
like you get porn stars. yes.
as we probably, if you ask them, but as we go to point out in our alien episodes that excuse me, that shit, I totally lost my train of thought. Damn it.
So James, what do you think? Fact, faked, or real?
Definitely fake. I have a few thoughts overall. Ancient Egyptians did not make contact from Australia, or at least not in this scenario. Also, I really think y'all should get Patriot 156 as a guest star on the show. Please, I want to hear his story, man. I want to hear it, and I want to write a book about it, just like I'm writing a book on some Egyptian stuff.
Nice.
No, this is an insane story, and I think Australians need to live with their white guilt, and then try to make up some origins about coming from Egypt.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I couldn't have. So,
Maybe not in the same
I will now
language.
attempt to. Gooble globble gleep. No, that was I mean, when I first read it, I've been saving this topic for 2 years.
Holy
Long
shit.
time, or since we first started the show. Because I didn't know how I wanted to approach it. I think I did it scatterbrainedly enough tonight to make it at least a little bit fun. But it's neat to think about. At the same time, it's complete and utter garbage. So,
But who actually wrote those in, though? Like, what scam artists actually, like, chiseled those in?
I think that the most likely is soldiers coming back from World War I that were stationed in Egypt, and they liked it. They were like, I'm going to fucking write some shit like that here.
I mean, that makes perfect sense.
And then they were like, we can't tell anybody.
That makes perfect sense.
Oh.
I've done that a lot just as an artist. You see something you like that inspires you to, try to think of something, similar, but that's still your own. But in order to do something like that, you might have to practice what you've already seen so that your brain can start working that way. I don't know. I'm just saying that from an artist standpoint, but, it could just be as simple as these guys saw it in a book, or some kids saw it in a book, and they liked it because it does look pretty fucking cool,
And from an artist's standpoint, I would say you've just listened to another. We're all actually Egyptian. This is being recorded in Egypt. We got here on a boat from Australia 5,000 years ago. We took it from some jerks.
That's right.
Surprise! Episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
The UFOs, the conspiracies. I have blinkers on my camel. And the murders. So when I tell you...
James would say...
Hi. Thanks for having me, guys. It was a great time.
Rebuttal.
Wrong. Countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Bye, kids.